It was around 11 p.m. on a cold winter night when my friend's football game ended. Tired from the game and work earlier, he stopped at a nearby Tim Hortons for a double espresso to keep himself awake for the drive home. As he walked back to his car, he suddenly heard a faint scream. He froze for a moment. Was it his imagination? But the scream came again, this time louder and more distinct. Concerned, he decided to follow the sound. The noise led him to a small, rusty gate just a few doors down. It was a graveyard. Thinking someone might be in trouble or mourning a loved one, he cautiously stepped inside. The screams grew louder as he ventured deeper. Eventually, he spotted a figure sitting in front of a grave, their back turned to him. The figure was screaming relentlessly. Trying to help, he walked up and gently placed a hand on their shoulder. Asking softly, "Can I help in any way?" The scream stopped abruptly. The figure whispered in a chilling voice, "Can you sacrifice yourself?" Startled by the chilling whisper, my friend pulled his hand back and took a step away. Something about the figure felt deeply wrong, and he decided it was best to leave. But just as he turned to walk away, the figure's head twisted slowly without the body moving. It turned a full 180 degrees, revealing a horrifying face, one side covered with maggots, the other caked in dirt. Red, glowing eyes stared directly at him. Frozen in terror, my friend watched as the figure stood up and began moving toward him. Its head spun 360 degrees like a broken spring doll, bouncing unnaturally on its shoulders. The figure stretched its neck until the head touched the ground before snapping it back into place. Finally, my friend's instincts kicked in. He turned and ran, heart pounding, but tripped over something and fell hard. When he looked back, the figure was gone. Relieved, he turned toward the exit, but standing there, blocking his path, was the figure. It leaned closer, its voice now a snake-like hiss. Just the head. My friend screamed as the figure reached out, its skeletal fingers brushing his arm. A foul stench filled the air, and he felt something crawling on his face, a maggot. Suddenly, a bright flashlight beam cut through the darkness. A policeman's voice called out, "Who's there?" My friend opened his eyes. The figure was gone. Shaking and barely able to speak, my friend turned to the policeman and stammered, "There was someone here." He recounted the horrifying events, describing the figure's grotesque face, spinning head, and the awful stench. The policeman listened with a skeptical expression and asked, "Have you been drinking tonight?" To prove his innocence, my friend agreed to a Dewey test, which came out clear. Still unconvinced, the policeman asked, "Where do you live? I'll follow you home, just to be safe." My friend nodded, grateful for the offer, and got into his car, still trembling. As they drove, he kept glancing nervously at his rearview mirror, half expecting the terrifying figure to appear again. Finally, they reached his house safely. The policeman waited until my friend was inside before leaving. For the next 2 days, my friend was bedridden with a high fever, haunted by vivid memories of the figure's face. Even now, he avoids the graveyard road entirely, but every now and then he wonders, was it real? Or was it something worse? After the terrifying night, my friend couldn't shake the images from his mind. He spent the next 2 days in bed, feverish and haunted by flashes of the grotesque figure, the glowing red eyes, maggot-covered face, and spinning head replayed in his nightmares. The smell of decay and the feel of skeletal fingers brushing against his arm lingered in his senses, as real as the night it happened. When he recovered, he made a vow. He would never take that route again. Even now, whenever his football games end late, he goes out of his way to avoid the graveyard. But sometimes, he wonders, was it a hallucination caused by exhaustion, a figment of his imagination fueled by the night's eerie silence? Or was it something far worse, something still lurking in that graveyard, waiting for its next visitor? Like and subscribe for more horror-related stories.